Hello world, Joel Freeman here, bringing you another episode of the Freebird Tour Vlog series. Today we are out at Lindsay Park in Tyler, Texas for the 2021 Texas State Disc Golf Championship. I got to give a shout out to Mike Pratt. Mike, thank you for following, thank you for your support, and thank you for your comment. Mike asked a question about risk reward. When do you lay up? When do you go for it? We're going to talk about that a little bit today as we go through the course. I'm going to just single out a few holes where that comes a little bit into play, and I'm going to explain to you guys my mindset when it comes to playing aggressive, attacking a course, etc. I would say, generally speaking, I am a pretty aggressive mindset kind of player. As a very broad way of looking at laying up versus going for it, usually when you lay up, you need to execute 2 shots and then probably make your putt in order to execute your game plan properly. In order to properly go for it or properly play aggressive, you only have to execute 1 good shot. For example, you're throwing over a big lake. You're either going to play to the side or throw straight over. If you have the ability to throw straight over, pull off a great shot and you're over in 1. On the other hand, if you choose to lay up, you execute 1 good shot, you have to then step up, execute another good shot, and there's a lot of pressure to not go in the water, to get up close to the basket, etc., because you laid up. Hopefully that all makes sense. That's it for now. Let's get right into the video. So, hole 2 right here is a little bit of an example of risk reward. So you've got a pretty tight gap to hit if you want to play for birdie, but if you want to lay up for par, you have to hit a tight gap anyway. So I could try to play something out to the left maybe, but then I'd probably just set myself up with more gaps to hit and the 2 would never be in play. So I might as well try to nail that first gap and put the 2 into play. If I pull it off, I'll get a 2. If I don't, I might just get the same score as I would have if I would have laid up anyway. You screw up a layup, you might get a bogey without ever even putting birdie into play in the first place. That's hole 2. Let's see how it works. I find hole 3 to be a fantastic example of how a touring pro might approach a lot of wooded shots. On this hole, you might put a mid-range in your hand at first glance because you might think, I'm going to be able to hit the gap more easily, I'm going to be able to keep it straight, I'm going to be able to control it, etc. Thing is, I think most touring pros are probably putting a driver in their hand here because once you pull off that mid-range shot, you don't guarantee yourself anything. If you pull off 1 good shot with the driver, you're probably within 100 feet, you're going to be able to get up and down for a 3. If you lay up and go mid-range and controlled shot, it's not that rewarding. It doesn't really gain you much. So hopefully that makes sense the way I explained it, but we'll see how we do. Almost really good. Yeah, that was way down there. So there's the tee, and a perfect layup shot would probably land about here, but I don't even know if you guys can see the basket. As you can see, it doesn't really do you much good to pull off a perfect layup. There are just trees everywhere anyway. So in contrast to the layup, I got a driver all the way here, and there's a way easier up shot. Even though I've got a funky stance, I get down here, 100 feet up and down to the basket. Not enough turn. Doesn't matter. Hole 12 is another pretty solid example. Sign says 621. I feel like it plays less because of the downhill. A layup shot is hard to pull off. An aggressive shot is hard to pull off. It's tricky, it's low ceiling, it's downhill, there's trees everywhere. It's kind of tricky no matter what. However, in my mind, I think it's possible to reach the green in one with a dream shot. If you pull that shot off, it'd be incredible to get a look at two and at least a guaranteed three. If you go for something shorter and you don't pull it off, you're gonna have a tricky time navigating down and trying to save par or better. Side note, it's more fun to go for it.
My name's Kevin Jones. I got a little finger pop.
This is about where I imagine a dream drive landing. This is the very next hole, hole 13, and I have almost the exact same mindset. I know people are going to be getting twos on this one, and I'd love to be in that club. I think also my mindset off the tee says a lot about me as a player. Throughout my career, I feel like the strongest part of my game historically has been off the tee. So that's where I like to put the stress. If I'm going to carry stress in any part of the fairway, whether it's off the tee, in the fairway itself, or on the green, I'm going to carry that stress here at the tee as opposed to down the fairway. What I mean by that is if I can get myself within 100 feet off the tee, easy up and down, I feel good about that. As opposed to, I don't feel comfortable off the tee, I'm only going to get within 300 of the green, and then I have more work to do in the second half of the hole.
Sounds like your motto is when in doubt, go all out.
Oh, that was going to be a good one. I'm probably playing aggressive on most of the holes out here. However, this hole right here is an example of a hole where I'm not playing super aggressive. I personally feel like no matter how sweet of a shot you throw, you don't really gain yourself much. So this is one I'm going a little more conservative on. If it wasn't for that first tree, they would have both been fantastic drives. This is where I'm hoping to land during the round. And I'm hoping I don't do that right there. So, to recap, when you choose to lay up, you're probably forcing yourself to execute two shots back to back. When you play aggressive, you're only asking yourself to pull off one shot. If you do that successfully, you get the same score or better as the guy who laid up and executed his whole game plan. The more shots you demand of yourself to pull off successfully, the more your percentage is going to go down of how many you do well. Of course, there's a lot to be said about percentages, about what kind of risk is involved, about how difficult the shot is, but in general, that's where my thinking leans. It all comes down to percentages, and if that safe play isn't helping you get strokes and the aggressive play isn't losing strokes when you mess it up, then you probably should play aggressive. Like I mentioned towards the end, if you're the kind of player who does well with approach shots or does well on the green, then maybe you should choose to lay up sometimes, because you're going to do really well in that second half of the hole. For my personal game, I feel better putting that pressure early in the hole. That's a little bit of my personal preference. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you're able to take something from what you heard and improve your game somehow. As you may have already noticed, I'm breaking the pattern with the release of this video. This one's going to come out earlier. I'm thinking it's going to make more sense with the flow of my videos to do the tournament recap the week after, and then give you guys like an early course preview along with that. So instead of practice round and then the review for the same tournament, I'm going to try switching things up. My Texas States tournament recap is going to come out next week, along with the other half of the video, which will be practice round stuff or whatever I decide to do. But that'll give you kind of an upfront look at some of those holes, maybe parts of that course, instead of me waiting till you guys are like done watching the coverage from the event, done watching scores and all that, and then I release some footage and it's like old news. That makes more sense in my head. It also flows a little better with my tour schedule in general. And so I hope you guys enjoyed that format. We're going to see how it works and give it a go. Thank you truly, each and every one of you, for joining. I really appreciate you guys being here with me. Thanks for all the support. I'm Joel Freeman. You're watching Wholehearted, and we will see you next time.